Old McZareth finally made a new player guide, but it's only part 1. E-I-E-I-O. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Zareth demonstrates his proficiency with vowels, particularly E, I, and O. Obviously, need to be able to show the O face. So, we're going to do a new player guide, folks. Finally, I've gotten off my hindquarters and done it. I couldn't possibly stand to make the whole thing in one sitting because this already took a frickin' long time. And so we're doing part 1, and I'll be working on part 2 shortly, but I wanted to get this out there as quickly as possible. So, yeah, let's move right along to shouting out my patrons. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for all your support, guys. You are amazing. I couldn't do this without you. Honestly, I couldn't, guys. And if you want to support this channel for free, all you gotta do is hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, comment, mount the algorithm, guys. Together, collectively, I figure we can mount that thing several hundred times per day. Not to brag, but it does seem quite possible. So let's get to it, folks. Let's jump right into it. First off, this guide is many things. It is many amazing things, in fact, but it isn't everything. And so one thing that you can do is search in the video description. I'm going to have a lot of links to help further elucidate several of my points, and honestly, a lot of these are just going to go in directions that we don't even address in this guide at all, because you can't fit everything into it, guys. A new player guide can probably be overwhelming. So go to the video description, you can find the links. Keep in mind that I do periodically update those kinds of videos, like the ranking Omicron videos. So if you click on the one in the video description, it may not have the most up-to-date one. I'm sure the advice will be amazing and on point, but only for that era of time that it was released. And so you may want to go search for a more recent one, that all of it being in the forefront of your mind. Let's jump into this guide here, folks. So, what are the priorities for a new account? This is what I talk about in all of my farming videos and everything, is getting lots of stuff. That's what this game is about. I mean, it's a character collecting game. Yes, there's strategy, there's the different game modes, all this different stuff. But at the end of the day, the goal is to get as much stuff as possible, and that stuff is going to translate into, it's all resources. It's going to translate into more gear, into more materials, currencies, all the different things that are going to help you advance your roster. And so that's the goal, folks. In all of your farming, that's the stuff that you need to be focused on. What things are you going to be able to get the most stuff from early on? And that, I mean, people know me as a GAC specialist. That's one of the game modes that you play. It's PvP, but you can come watch me play PvP on Twitch. It's we have a pretty good group, and the link is in the video description. It's free to come watch, guys. Come hang out. But just because I like GAC a lot doesn't mean I think you should focus on only GAC success. There's a lot of different factors that contribute to your success as an account, and so we're going to be addressing a lot of that stuff. So a couple of the quick hitters are, you want to focus on, once you get to 4 million GP, which is going to take a while, but the CG new player process, like the whole thing at the start, it seems like it's going to catapult you pretty close to that, especially if you're going to spend a little money on the game. You can catapult yourself to 4 million pretty quickly with Lightspeed bundles, which are amazing and universally valuable bundles that you can buy in the game. But you want to get to 4 million GP so that Conquest immediately becomes very relevant. You need to be able to do pretty well in Conquest because you get the new hot amazing characters like Luthen, dear lord. But besides him, and he might end up being pretty good, there's been a lot of really key important characters released in Conquest that you need to be able to start unlocking once you hit that 4 million GP barrier. And you also, I guess the thing I should have also pointed out here, guys, is you need to be prepared for Proving Grounds once you hit 4 million as well, and that's a huge part of our strategy as well. assault battles for, you know, trying to get to at least challenge tier 1 is going to be important. You want to be able to compete in your fleet arena if you want to be able to do that, because you get a ton of crystals, which are the premium currency in this game. You want as many crystals as possible, and Fleet Arena is a way to get about half of the crystals you're going to earn, just about, and then other recurring events with really good rewards as well. So here's your initial teams. Initially, I was going to show this after I showed you the path on how to get there, but decided to give you a slight argument on what you should be looking at for these teams and why we're going to be going for them. And so we have Phoenix with Captain Rex, of course, and they have an assault battle that you can do okay on. At least it's a really good early game team. The CLS team is also really good. Get them to Relic 5, guys. I know that seems like a tall order early on, but you're not going to regret it at any point, really. They're an amazing team for a ton of different game modes. Bounty Hunters, there are so many Bounty Hunters, and basically all of them are requirement characters to unlock bigger characters. However, the reason you want them early on is you can do an assault battle with them, though to be fair, you can do that with Imperial Troopers as well. But you can also, they're pilots for ships that you want. They are just central to what you're doing. They used to call them like the foundational squad. They used to be the most important. I would say they're maybe a little less important these days than they were a year or two ago, but I mean, they haven't gotten an update for a couple years at this point, so we could get some fresh blood into them, and they'd be pretty good again. Anyways, Bounty Hunters still very important squad, folks, and Ewoks. I know the Ewoks don't seem great. They help you unlock C-3PO, though. That is part of that Commander Luke Skywalker team. That's an unlock character. We'll talk about that. Don't put the Omicron on Sherpa, please. But also, though, if you can get Wicket farmed as quickly as possible, he's going to give you an event that gets you Zeta materials, which are things that unlock really important abilities. And 3 of these furballs are actually requirement characters to unlock a Galactic Legend. Now, Imperial Troopers are something you're going to just kind of fall into based on what we're farming, and that they are a very strong squad. And then a Star Killer team as well, folks, which is kind of the pinnacle of this first guide. So here's what CG, they released this graphic saying, all right, here's the original, here's what you'll have. It's like, okay, what, you know, apparently we're getting more characters. So here, let's remove ships for now. We're going to talk about ships in a little bit, but we're going to, for now, these are the characters that we're supposed to get, and some of them we're just going to kind of ignore. Like, you'll never see Phasma in this guide again. If you are attached to Phasma in this particular guide, say goodbye to Phasma. Goodbye, Phasma. Okay, so let's sort this nonsense out. We have all these characters, and I don't know. CG says we're gonna have them. A new player guide is gonna, new player account's gonna have them by the time you hit level 85. Cool. I'm happy for you. Congratulations on having them. I don't know what gear level they're supposed to be at that point. How well you're able to develop them. I mean, these Zetas are going to give you, there's a lot of, like, this graphic is really fairly worthless in a lot of ways, but let's use the information that they've provided to kind of create a kind of farming path. So if you start with 2 important teams, you have Phoenix, which they say you'll have all of by the time you hit 85. You can unlock Emperor Palpatine and Thrawn very easily, Grand Admiral Thrawn. With those 2 to help you, you also have a couple more Empire characters. You can easily unlock R2-D2. Now, with R2-D2, they say that you're going to have all these other characters, Farm Boy Luke, Princess Leia, Stormtrooper Han, all fairly worthless characters in the greater scheme of things, and Old Ben, who's going to end up being on one of your best squads. He's a highly sought-after commodity, and then R2-D2 is not that great. They all combine to unlock Commander Luke Skywalker team, which eventually you'll want to have that be one of your first fully relic teams. Now, with the unlock of Emperor Palpatine and Thrawn, you're also going to be creating this is like the first iteration of your Empire team. Like, the Empire teams are going to split off and go in different directions, but initially this is what it's kind of going to look like. Now, if you farm to be able to get this CLS team all the way going, because you unlock Commander Luke, CLS being Commander Luke Skywalker, then to get him moving, to get his squad to where it is, you're going to have to farm Chewpio, which is Chewbacca and 3PO at the same time. You're going to have to farm Han Solo with your raid currency. Hopefully you're earning raid currency. You are, right? I mean, it's only Mark 1 currency. So you should be farming him. And then to get Chewbacca unlocked, you have to unlock him with bounty hunters, which you needed anyways because it's a foundational team. You unlock Chewbacca with those characters specifically. I know Cad Bane is not everyone's favorite, but he is part of the group that they say that you're going to have. And then if you get Ewoks, they'll help you unlock C-3PO, and then you'll have the Commander Luke Skywalker team. Early game, that team is such a monster. It's so good. Yes, it's not as good as a Galactic Legend team or whatever, but it's going to pull its weight for a long time, for several million GPs worth of effort. Now, you also want to be farming Mara Jade and Admiral Piet as early as you can to go with your Imperial team, your Empire team. Now, here's the tricky part. You're going to be farming the Starkiller team, which means you need to get Dash, you need to get Kyle Katarn, Mara Jade, which is already part of that Empire team, and then Darth Talon, and most of them are in Cantina, actually. They're it's a frustrating team to farm all the way to completion, but the final team is going to include Emperor Palpatine and Mara Jade, as well as that one weird, like, you get Scav Ray by the end of the time, by the time you're 85, so Scavenger Ray is going to be good, and I have a lot of videos talking about how to use Starkiller, so you can search for those as well, and then you'll eventually branch out into getting Imperial Troopers, and then you have just a bunch of weird Vader leftovers, which are probably going to spill into the next video, so we're kind of all over the place though, and keep in mind, guys, those worthless characters that you use to unlock Commander Luke should just stay at Gear 8. Gear 8 is probably all you need to put on them. So, hold on a second. Oh, whoa, okay, so just the same screen one more time, guys. So the original 6 teams, the initial 6 teams, that's what you're aiming for. Don't put too much gear on the Ewoks, and no, these teams are not the final end game, even versions of what you're going to have, but they're all going to be characters that you're going to need for later farms, and it's going to prepare you for greater things down the line. And they also get you a lot of really good resources that you're going to be able to use early on. Now, let's talk about ships for just a little bit here, guys. So this is what CG says we're going to have. This is anticlimactic a little bit, but you do get more ships, I guess. That's nice. Slave 1 especially was a fairly difficult one to farm, and as well as the Vader's bomber, or Vader's ship, whatever, it's not a bomber. I see the TIE bomber there. Anyways, you're gonna get a lot of that stuff, but first, I think you're gonna need, like, CG does a really bad job of selling ships as valuable and important, and then they end up hiding a lot of really good stuff behind them. So why should you work on ships at all? I know that if you're a new player, a lot of new players just decide that they don't want to play ships anymore, or at all. They're just like, you know what, let's just ignore this game mode, pretend it doesn't exist. And I understand that, and I realize that it's frustrating. However, there are a lot of really important things that you get from playing fleets, and things that you can get with a lot of fleets. You can unlock the Zeta fleet challenges, which it's a recurring challenge that you're going to get a lot of Zetas from, and Zeta materials unlock really important abilities that some would consider to be actually extremely natural. In fact, you also, if you are able to do it every day, you can, if you get the right fleets, which I'll show you which the right fleets are in just a minute, you're also going to be able to get 400 daily crystals in Fleet Arena. You're also going to be able to dominate in GAC. You're going to be gaining a lot of fleet currency, which also translates into more Zeta materials. And your spouse will obviously respect you more. I almost shouldn't have added that, but that seems the most obvious, to be honest. So let's look at ships. So right now, guys, you kind of need to make a decision. Early on, you need to make a decision. And that is, are you going to spend money on this game? Yes, I realize you can decide retroactively. You're like, oh, actually, I did want to spend money on this game. That's fine. But here's the thing, guys. There are these things called Lightspeed bundles, which CG has released as a way of helping people kind of catch up in the game. And the reason I'm bringing this up in ships, first off, on a dollar for dollar basis, and I'm not going to show you the math, I've done other videos showing a little more math, but these are the best deals in the game by far if you're going to spend money. I'm not saying you should spend money, but dollar for dollar, what the value you receive is, like, you save so much time and so many resources for a very, very small relative cost if you want to spend money. So if you want to spend some money, here's the thing, guys. I would save, and I don't know when this is going to come back. CG has not communicated this to me, but there's a General Skywalker Lightspeed bundle that is going to give you a really good starter ship, which is the Negotiator, which is General Kenobi's squad, or ship. It's also going to give you a ton of these characters that go with the fleet, and a bunch of characters that help you eventually unlock General Skywalker, which is great, but I don't even care about him. I really don't care about him. The thing I care about is unlocking Negotiator. Yes, it's $50, but I would argue that this is even more powerful than the Hyperspace bundle, or whatever it's called. Hyperspeed something. There's some bundle that costs $50 that's supposed to be really good. It is, in fact, really good, but this one is also really good. So if you're going to be buying and spending money on this game, getting this bundle is really good, and therefore you don't have to spend your rare currency, your GET2 currency, on the Negotiator. Instead, you can spend it on Malevolence immediately. So if you're going to buy the Gas General Anakin Skywalker pack, then you can just ignore these ships that you have, the starter ships, until that pack is available, which sometimes you probably have to wait a couple months to get it. And if you can start working on the Malevolence, and if you're not going to be spending money on the game, then start working on Negotiator and just ignore this whole thing. Eventually you'll want to farm Malevolence as well, which is General Grievous's ship, but that's for a later date. Now, let's focus on ships for a while by farming more characters. You can get these characters, most of them you want to just keep at Gear 8, but they're going to be combined to unlock Beskar Mando, which therefore gives you another ship. I mean, you have to farm the ship as well in the fleet store, but you get the Razor Crest, which is a vital ship to be able to unlock our first major unlock in this game. So first off, you can use bounty hunter ships to be able to unlock the Millennium Falcon. And remember, the Millennium Falcon, remember how we have Han and Chewie farmed for that CLS team? Well, hey, look at that, guys. We also have their ship now, and they're Relic 5, so it's going to be a very powerful ship. Yay! Hooray for unlocking the Falcon. If we unlock the Falcon, then we'll also, apparently, according to CG, have we'll be able to have the two Phoenix ships. The Ghost and the Phantom, or something like that. Those two unlocked with the Millennium Falcon, and they will unlock Thrawn's capital ship, which is not that vital early game, frankly, but it's nice to be able to unlock it. And you'll also, folks, if you're farming all of the different ships that you can, you need to be farming those bounty hunter ships, guys, as soon as you can. You'll also want to be farming some Empire ships, but the CG is going to be handing us quite a few ships. Here's the thing, guys, there's a Zeta challenge. You need to be working on this. You need to be working on getting 6-star ships. You have to have, I think, 7 dark side ships at 6 stars to be able to compete in this challenge, but then you start getting a lot of Zeta materials, and it's very worthwhile. You want to get that as early as possible, so I'm telling you about it now so you can start working on these ships as early as possible. And these ships, all the bounty hunter ships, are very usable later on anyways, so you want to be working on the ships, on the characters that pilot them, etc., especially for that Zeta challenge. Now, the final goal in this, folks, is unlocking the Executor, which is a capital ship. It's the first of the what most people call like the Galactic Legend level capital ships, and I put all the requirements here that are, you know, required. And the good news is all of these things are things that I've already said that you should be working on, that you're going to have, that CG has already given to you, presumably by 85. You kind of just fall into unlocking the ship, but it's a very important ship. It beats all the other fleets in the game currently, and it's a great starter fleet. It's the first Galactic Legend level thing. Now, if you want to, folks, I think early on, very early on, you should also be looking at working on your second Galactic Legend level ship, which is going to be Profundity with his fleet. And so, yes, it's a stretch goal. However, I wouldn't wait for super long to be working on this, and all of those characters are very usable as well. Now, consolidated fleets, this is just a snapshot of what the fleets that you're going to be working on will have. Now, remember, work on Negotiator or Malevolence, depending on if you're going to be spending money or not. That's what the final fleets are going to look like. Of course, I gave you a couple stretch goals with ships that are really good with those fleets that you'll want eventually. So, like the Marauder for the Negotiator fleet with Bad Batch. Yes, there's 3 pilots. It's madness. The Chimera fleet, working on Iden and the TIE Defender, and then the TIE Interceptor with Second Sister. Both really good choices as well. And then if you can get the Executor and Profundity, man, early on, especially in GAC, people are not going to be able to deal with that. That's already a very difficult thing to deal with, like in Kyber, like 3, 4, and I don't know, maybe 5 isn't really a thing. But anyways, the Chimera fleet, the Empire fleet is going to be very good for you. You just don't have that many ships for them yet so far. So anyways, that's what your fleets are going to look like. And okay, so we're going to work on farming other squads soon. And I have the map, I have it all mapped out. We just have to make the graphics for it and cut the video for it, of course. But apparently my face is over the text, which that's fine. So go look at this video, folks. It's also going to be linked in the video description, probably at the very top. This is the list of all the top teams in the game and what they do for you, the ones you need to be farming and to be able to have. If you want to be able to continue this guide, yes, I'll talk about those squads soon enough, but until then, I just wanted to give you kind of a list of, oh, okay, you've finished all these things, here's the next kind of batch, and then here's a video that talks about the majority of them. So anyways, folks, that's it for me. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. What would you like more in a new player guide? I mean, I'll eventually be putting all of this information into one big mega guide, but for now, we're just going to be doing multi-parts because it takes for frickin' ever to make these graphics. Even if they don't look great, it still takes forever. So, yay. Please give me feedback, guys. I would love to hear what your thoughts are. Especially new players. Is this what you're looking for? What things do you want in a new player guide that I'm missing? Be respectful, obviously, but yeah. I mean, more EIO, more vowels. We'll talk about the other vowels in the next video, folks. If you've been in suspense this whole time, that'll be good. So, all right, I've blathered long enough, folks. Thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Xaereth prevails.